So we are happy to have Baku. I'm not sure whether I can say his last name correctly, and to give us a talk, Kung Fu and Taiji. These are his reliable companion on the path, way. Okay. And Luck has been practicing Tai Chi and Kung Fu Shaolin for many years. And I remember him maybe like decades ago in San Jose, in the Ghost Sage Monastery. I don't know whether you still remember. I was with the young novices at that time. And we invite him to come to teach the young novices. I think that at the time he was teaching Qigong, right? And he also California licensed acupuncturist and a Chinese herbalist. Besides, he has been serving the DRBA board directors. He has been serving as a secretary for several years. I believe he's still the secretary, if not correctly. So, and I'll stop here and let Doug take over to start his talk. Okay, Doug.
Amitabha, Venerable Masters, Venerable Master, Dharma Masters, and all of Dharma friends. Good evening, good morning, wherever you might be. And thank you very much, Jin Yongsher, for inviting me tonight to speak with you and have a conversation about one of my favorite topics, Kung Fu and Taiji and cultivation. I'd like to also start by saying that I'm not an expert in Kung Fu or Taiji. I'm actually still a student and I'm still learning every day. I have found it to be beneficial towards cultivation. Okay. I'm not super interested in like the martial aspect or the fighting or the competition. To me, it's these tools are very effective towards cultivation. And I use them for cultivation, and that's pretty much it. In fact, when I was hanging out at the Berkeley Monastery, I remember Dr. Epstein and we were having a conversation, and he told me a very interesting story. He recalled a time when a Kung Fu master or martial artist came to Gold Mountain and asked the Venerable Master to teach him a very rare and unique Kung Fu. And he was very sincere. He asked the Venerable Master to teach him this kind of Kung Fu. And then Master Hua said, yeah, actually, I do know this Kung Fu. I can teach it to you, but I have two conditions. One, you have to be able to sit in full lotus for 24 hours and not move. Two, you will have to make a vow to never use it, even if your life depended upon it. And of course, very predictably, the Kung Fu master did not want that. He didn't want to learn that set that bad, so he left. And so I got thinking about it, and I realized that I think Master Hua is completely right. The martial art is not to be used to harm living beings, but it's a way to aid our cultivation. So I actually took that story to heart, and I still remember it even after 20 years. So I like to start by sharing with you a passage from this sutra, the Tigala Sutta. And let me read it to you. Bhikkhu, suppose that this great earth were totally covered with water, and a man or woman were to toss a yoke with a single hole there. A wind from the east would push it west. A wind from the west would push it east. A wind from the north would push it south, and a wind from the south would push it north. And suppose a blind turtle were there. It would come to the surface once every 100 years. Now, what do you think? Would that blind turtle coming to the surface once every 100 years stick his neck into the yolk with a single hole? It would be a sheer coincidence, Lord, that the blind turtle coming to the surface once every 100 years would stick his neck into the yolk with a single hole. It's likewise a sheer coincidence that one obtains the human state. So this gives us a sense that having a human body is extremely precious. It's not easy to have this human body, and it's equally not easy to have a human body and to encounter the Buddha Dharma. So in a way, we are extremely blessed, and we should definitely utilize what we have right now towards liberation. Cultivation is really hard work. If we look at the cultivators at the City of 10,000 Buddhas, they wake up very early in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, and then they stay up till 11 or midnight. Life is very hard. There's lots of bowing. So in a way, a lot of it is physical activities, bowing, and then after that, they do work in the garden, in the kitchen, construction. So it's a pretty difficult life. And so I think this is where the Gongfu and Taiji can help a little bit to aid one's service to the community. Second, this practice helps increase one's self-reliance. It helps one become healthier, balances the yin and yang of the human body, and can actually help prevent a lot of sickness. So as a result, when we practice, we can then have a healthier body, which will then be used towards cultivation. Practicing the body can also benefit the mind. And conversely, working with the mind can benefit the body. So it's the interaction of yin and yang, of material and immaterial. All of these things will help us attain the way. Another thing is, as we get older, our body will fail us, and that's true. And if we practice this, it can at least help us a little bit when we get older. And later on, I'll tell you ways in which learning Gongfu and Taiji can help us as we get older. When we practice martial arts or Gongfu and Taiji, the mind must be relaxed. And I recall this passage from the Sutra of 42 section 34. It's a pretty popular section and oftenly quoted. If the mind is harmonious, one can attain the way. If one is impetuous or being rash or impatient about the way, one's impetuousness will tire out the body. And if the body is tired, the mind will become afflicted. If the mind becomes afflicted, then one will retreat from the practice. So from this, we can sense that having a healthy and strong body is important, because if not, we will become afflicted, and it can actually affect our cultivation. So I started learning Kung Fu when I was 16. And that time I was just a teenager. I didn't know much about anything really. And I came to the studio in El Cerrito to study with Master Zhang. And that time I was 16 and my face had so much pimples. I mean, I had like pimples on top of pimples. I mean, just so much stuff. I did not know how to take care of myself. I didn't know how to eat the right kind of food, drink the right kind of drink. So when I first met my teacher, the first thing he told me was work harder and sweat more. Drink hot green tea to kick out the garbage. And that's what I had to do. You started learning Shaolin Kung Fu, you practiced, you were sweating. And after the practice, my teacher would serve me really delicious hot Taiwanese high mountain green tea. So as you can see, this was like our studio. We had a parking lot in the back and we would practice. And these are some of the stretches that we had to do. And later on, I'll show you some of these stretches. But a very famous stretch that our teacher was able to do was the chin to toe stretch. You see, he had to do this stretch in 100 days in order to learn his Taiji set from his teacher. So this is an extremely difficult stretch, and I'm not saying that you have to do this stretch. In fact, you don't really need this stretch, okay? Later on, I'll just show you some basic stretches, right? So this was a picture of us in Taiwan where we visited a famous Taiwanese teapot maker so that we can get good teapots and drink green tea as we were practicing Kung Fu and Taiji. Our school visited the city of 10,000 Buddhas in 2001. So we had a field trip, our Kung Fu school. We were very blessed to be able to have a retreat. We actually had a retreat at CTDB. We stayed there for 1 or 2 nights. And when we came, I think it was Dharma Master Yin who gave us this article from the Venerable Master. And this is actually what the Venerable Master said at the Wonderful Words Hall on August 28th, 1993. So I'll read it to you. So this is not the whole article. I just picked out certain passages, okay? Just in the interest of time, I didn't provide the whole article, but this article is online. You just have to search for it, Vajra Bodhisi article. In cultivation, one must first practice Taiji, training the body and mind. We must train until we are accomplished in this, and our bodies are as soft as cotton, yet as hard as steel. When we have real skill, then neither knives or spears can hurt us, and water and fire cannot harm us either. At that point, we will have considerable samadhi, and if we know how to use it, then we can attain wisdom. Thus, this is a required course. No matter how busy you are, you should practice. Keep practicing until you master the skill and it becomes natural and easy. Okay, so when I first saw this, I was so happy because it made me realize, oh, I'm on the right path. So even though I'm learning Kung Fu and Taiji, it can actually be beneficial towards cultivation. And then the Venerable Master further said, the Taiji exercises improve our blood and energy circulation and regulate the body and mind. With improved blood and energy circulation, sicknesses seldom occur. If you are always getting sick, it's because you don't regularly practice some sort of Gong Fu. If you know how to practice Gong Fu, your body will become stronger and healthier and will not get sick. After morning recitation, don't go back to your room to rest or sleep. You should practice Taiji for an hour and then sit in meditation. You will certainly find it very easy to enter samadhi and develop concentration. From my experience, this is absolutely true. Before I studied Gong Fu, I recall that I would get sick like once every couple months, always get sick, some kind of cold or flu, or it just always would happen. But after like 6 months of practicing Gong Fu, I would only get sick once every year at most. So it is true that learning Gong Fu and Taiji can help keep your body healthier and can ward away sickness to some extent. In terms of entering samadhi, I'm not at that level yet, so I can't speak about that, but I believe that is also true. Remember the story of our first Chan master from India, Master Bodhidharma. So after practicing for 9 years, then he got up and then taught the Shaolin monks some basic movements to help improve their body. So by learning Gong Fu and Taiji, we're following the footsteps of the great ancient practitioners. Okay, let's continue. From today onward, no matter how busy you are, you have to learn Taiji Chuan. If you know how to practice Gong Fu, you won't have any sickness. It's much better than taking medicine. If you can make your body and mind healthy, and it's much more effective than getting hooked up to the IV drip. Practicing Gong Fu is also part of cultivation. All of you adults should hurry up and start practicing. This is a necessary part of cultivation for everyone, learning Taiji. You should study on one hand and learn Taiji on the other, putting equal emphasis on scholarly and martial skills. Interestingly enough, my school is actually called scholarly and martial, called the Wenwu. So at our school, my teacher has always emphasized learning both the scholarly and the martial skills. So definitely, I really resonate with what the Venerable Master said. Okay, so next I am going to chart a pathway for learning Gong Fu and Taiji. This is something that one approach that you can do. It doesn't have to be the only approach, but this is an approach that seems easy and doable for most of us. So we need to start from the hard and work to the soft, meaning we have to do the physical work and then work towards the internal work. Because we need both. We need both the internal and the external. We need both Gong Fu and Taiji. So to start, we have to develop our flexibility. So flexibility is extremely important. And there are some movements that I will show you later on. Not a lot of movements, just some very basic movements to increase your flexibility. And when you are flexible, then you can move in a certain way. You can execute certain movements with ease and lightness. Next, we have to develop our strength. So in Kung Fu, we have to do a lot of stance work. So I can show you 6 stances that you can practice every day to strengthen your legs and strengthen your stances. Another component we need is balance. We must be able to stand on one leg comfortably. When you learn Taiji, you are constantly shifting your weight from one leg to another leg. So having really good balance is extremely important. And when you have good balance, as you get older, you will definitely less likely to fall. Okay, so it can help reduce falling in the elders. Next, I will introduce some Shaolin Qigong set that you can practice. There are 2 really popular sets. One is called the 8 Pieces of Brocade. And the other one is the 8 movements to fortify your spine. And I'll talk more about those sets later on. Then after practicing these things for a while and doing your Taiji set, you can also do standing meditation. So in fact, actually the order of this is a little bit, should be adjusted. The Taiji set should be above the mind standing meditation. So after you do your Taiji set, then you can do standing meditation. The Taiji set should be performed slowly so that each movement is really clear. There are many different Taiji sets in the world, and they're all good sets. I'm not saying you have to learn one particular set. If you already know Taiji, keep practicing your Taiji set. I have learned the Yang style Taiji set, but there are the Chen style and the Wu style, the Sun style, many different styles of Taiji. All we have to do is just practice them. And when we practice Taiji for a while, we will develop increased awareness and sensitivity within our body and the surrounding. And very importantly, it will help reduce falls and injuries. Okay, so as we get older, if we've been practicing Taiji, you will definitely notice a huge difference in your body. Okay, so next, let's talk about flexibility. So when we're doing the stretching, we're increasing our range of motion, our ability to move in a certain way to get our muscles to be more flexible. We also work on the joints. The joints are very important. That's where sometimes we get arthritis, and as we get older, the qi could get stuck in the joints. So by stretching and working the joints, we can actually ensure smooth passage of the qi throughout our body. After that, we massage the meridians and then do a little bit of balance. So let me share a video of these movements so that you can get a sense of what I'm talking about. Every morning you wake up, do the waist rotation to free the energy up your meridian. Your hands on your kidneys in the back. Feet parallel, your palms on your hips. You can do 20 times or 40 times each direction. Squat down. This is a very important stretch, being able to squat like this. The knees, very important to free up the energy in your knees. Work your shoulders. Back bends. Go forward. Hamstring stretch, extremely important. After 6 months, you should be able to get your palms to the floor. Then wrap around, head to your shin. Now side stretch. Start with the squat. Extend your leg. Touch your foot. Do both sides. Another important stretch. Sit down, go forward, try to get your chin and belly button to the floor. Practice every day. After 6 months, you should be able to do a lot of these stretches. Don't be in a hurry. Each day, just do a little bit. Balance. First, be able to stand on one leg. Feel free to use a chair or something to help you maintain your balance. Once you're flexible enough, you can extend your leg out. Do some kicks. This will help bring the chi down to your feet. Circulation in your legs. Use the massaging of the meridians. Notice how I go up on the outside, down on the inside. Follow the path of the meridian. Outside down, inside up. You can massage more, like 20 times. Massage the middle dantian. 10 times each side. Massage your lower dantian. Massage your kidney. Massage the side of your body, the liver meridian, and the gallbladder. Palms on your ears. Strike the back of your head. Okay, so that's all right. So later on, I will give you a link to all of these videos so then you can practice. I made them fast because we don't have time to go through everything. But every day you can just go through these movements. Okay, so let's move on to the next segment. So once we have the flexibility, working along with flexibility, we need to also do a few stances. So here I'm sharing with you called the 6 stance Kung Fu. The 6 stance Kung Fu. So let's take a look what that looks like. The horse stance, bow stance, horse stance again, breath stance, Hold and boost on one leg, mop stance, row stance, empty stance, knee stance. So execute those movements slowly until you can go through the series of 6 stances. And then you can do slowly and then eventually move a little bit faster. So you can review the video later to see how you can go from one stance to another, shifting from one to the other. Once you have mastered one side, then you can do the other side. So the right side first. When you're comfortable with all the stances, then you can do the opposite side. At the DRBU CEI Cultivation Retreat a couple of years ago, I shared this form. It's called eight movements to fortify the spine. And it's a very effective set to help strengthening your back and your spine. This set was created 2,000 years ago. So it's a pretty ancient form, and it's still practiced at the Shaolin Temple today. There are 8 movements to this set. And at the end of our talk, I can share with you a video link that you can watch to practice this set. Another set that you can practice to strengthen your muscles and your tendons and ligaments is called the 8 pieces of brocade. This is a pretty popular set, and you can probably find this in lots of different places. So many of you may even know this set already. So you can practice this set as well. This set was created by the legendary General Yue Fei from China, from the Song Dynasty. So this was the set that gave the general immense amount of strength and physical ability so that he was able to fight off the northern invaders. And you can practice this set to keep your body healthy and strong so that when you sit in meditation, you can sit upright and can sit more relaxed. These 2 sets have breathing methods associated with them. So in my videos, I will share with you the breathing techniques. But in general, when you practice, just breathe normally, breathe naturally with your nose. Okay, careful not to force your breathing. Don't hold your breath. Just be relaxed and natural. Next, we are going to talk about the benefits of Taiji Chuan. There was like a 20-year study at Harvard Medical School. There's actually a book written about the benefits of Taiji, and Harvard Medical School actually published a book on the benefits, and I summarized the benefits right here with you. So according to Harvard Medical School, it has been found that if you practice Taiji, people who practice Taiji will have a 45% reduction in falling after just 15 weeks of practice. So if you are 70 years or older, and if you practice Taiji for at least 15 weeks, you will cut down your chances of falling by 45%. This is incredible if you think about it. Taiji is beneficial simply because it trains you to be on one leg and shifting to another leg. The alternation of weight from one leg to another is the true benefit, the true strength of Taiji. Okay, so in contrast to just having stationary, static posture, by moving your body doing a Taiji set allows you to gain the benefit of this weight shift. It will also increase your sensitivity in the extremity of your hands and feet. So let's say if your hands and feet are always too hot or too cold, then if you practice Taiji, then over time, you will balance the yin and yang energy of your body. And as a result, your hands will be warmer and your feet will be warmer. And this can also help those who are on the verge of being diabetic, where you're starting to lose sensation in your extremity. So you can practice the stretches that I showed you earlier and do the Qigong movements and the Taiji set. It is also good for the mind because by memorizing the sequence, it will help strengthen your mind, your mental sharpness. It also will help you maintain your balance. And again, this is all because we are causing the yin and yang to mix in the body. And that's how life occurs, is through the mixing of yin and yang. Taiji is good for the bones. Hence, it's like steel wrapped with cotton. Okay, so when you practice your Taiji, your movement, you're basically, because you're shifting the weight, you're also massaging the kidney points or Yongquan point at the bottom of your feet. And also by doing these movements, your bones will grow because you're creating strength in your legs. And when you are developing leg strength, then your bones will also grow to adapt to your physical movements. Also, when you do Taiji standing meditation, it will help improve the mind-body connection, help you be more in sync with your mind and the connection with your body. Increase your awareness of your posture. Okay, so standing meditation will also allow the qi to flow more freely in the body. It's extremely difficult to stand for a long time, but you can practice standing for a shorter amount of time. Maybe in another lecture, in another time, I can share with you standing meditation techniques. We don't have enough time to cover that tonight. But for now, work on your stretching, your Shaolin Qigong, and your Taiji Chuan. And then later on, you can work on standing meditation. In Chinese medicine, pain is basically qi stagnation. Qi is stuck, okay? So as a result, when we practice these exercises, our qi will flow better, lessening the pain in the body. Hence, it is also good for chronic pain. And lastly, Taiji is a social thing. So if you have a group of people practicing Taiji together, then you form a community of good friends, of good Dharma cultivators, working, practicing together. And research shows that social support is key to maintaining a long and healthy life. The Venerable Master said here I read, in Sacramento, I told them that after morning recitation, they should practice whatever kind of gongfu or exercise they like for an hour. They should go outside to breathe the fresh air and let out the defiled air. If they practice like this every day, they will certainly accomplish their skill. Sometimes people ask, when is the best time to practice? The best time to practice is whenever you practice. However, if you need to pick a time, according to my Qigong Grandmaster, she said the tiger time is the best time, between 3 to 5 a.m. That's when the Qi is extremely pure. And if you practice during that time, then the qi will flow a lot better. But if you cannot wake up during that time, it's okay. You can practice anytime. However, don't practice in the cold, especially when it's windy or rainy. Okay, so keep your body warm. Also, when you practice, don't wear a hat. You want to keep your head, the baihui point, the crown of your head open. 2, you don't want to also wear gloves. So you can, so don't wear gloves. Wearing a scarf is okay. And also when you're done practicing Taiji or Gongfu, be careful not to drink ice cold water. Don't take a shower right away. Let your body cool down for at least half an hour or 1 hour before you eat or drink cold water. These are the words that my teacher told me. So next, I'm going to show you some movements from, just to kind of give you a sense of what Taiji looks like. For those of you who have never practiced any kind of Taiji, you're wondering, what is Taiji? What does it look like? So let me just show you here a set. This set was performed by my teacher in Taiwan for the Taiwanese television. They wanted him to do Taiji. So this set is called the Guangpingyang style Taiji. So Taiji as taught in the Guangping village in China from Master Yang. So you can get a sense of the movement in Taiji. You can see how the weight shifts from full to empty, from no weight to weight. See how this transition, you see how lightly the foot must touch. You're shifting constantly from one to the other. There's a certain harmony to it with your hands and feet, elbow and knee, shoulder and hip, the harmonies. And you want to move slow like this, very gentle, each movement very clear, precise, not falling into the movement, not forced, not using strength. Okay, so these are some of the movements that he's doing. That was embrace tiger, return to mountain, 保护归上. Another really good movement that I think you saw already was the brush knee twist step, where Shifu was walking backward. This is also a very good movement right here. This is called repulse monkey. So you're walking backward. Now we can see why, if you practice Taiji like this, it's very, this can definitely help us from preventing us from falling. Okay, just some few more movements here. This is wind waves, lotus leaves. 风百合叶. So there are many Taiji set, and it's not to say that one set is better than another. Just practice what you know, and you will feel good about the set. This set is a little bit, has some physicality to it. There are jump kicks, but you can always adapt the set so that you don't have to do the jump kick if you're not able to. And it's okay, as long as you're just doing the movements to the best that you can, you will reap the benefit from the set. So this one here is golden rooster, stands on one leg, 经济独立. It's a really good movement to help with hand-leg coordination with your balance. Okay, so that's enough of that here. So let's continue. Okay, so these are just some movements that you can look at when you're practicing your Taiji set. The Guangping Yang style Taiji set that I practice has one movement called Ji Jiang Wen Fo, the strike palm ask the Buddha, which is also a standing meditation itself. So one day we can try that out. Okay, so I like to also end with a story. For many years, I have also practiced a Qigong set, and it's called the Wild Goose Qigong set. And my Shirmu came to CB on several occasions to teach this set. And this set was passed on by the late Grandmaster, Master Yang Meijun. And this is a picture that I took of the three of them when our Kung Fu school visited her in China in 1998. At this time, she was already 106 years old. So she was already 106. So we knew that this would probably be the last time that we would see her. And we all gathered in her living room. There were about 15 students on this trip. We all are gathered around. And then we were sitting there waiting for her to kind of teach us the last lesson. It was, in a way, the last lesson that she would teach us. And I was so happy when she taught us the last lesson, which was basically you hold out your palm and then you recite Namo Guan Shiyin Pusa. You focus on your palm and then you send it to any parts of your body where you have illness or pain. So that was her final lesson to us, was to use the amazing blessing from Guanyin Bodhisattva to help us. So even though she knew many different Qigong sets, many different styles from the Kunlun mountain, this was the one set, the one technique that she wanted us to practice. And I was extremely happy when I heard her, saw her teaching us that movement. So basically just focus on Guanyin Bodhisattva on your palm and then just bring that palm to anywhere in your body where you're feeling pain or you're hurting or you have illnesses, so that Guanyin Bodhisattva can help us. Okay, so I hope that that you have gained a little bit of insight about Kung Fu and Taiji based on what I've talked about. And if you have any questions, feel free to type them up in the chat box or unmute your microphone. Also, I will share you links to all of the videos that I've shown, including the 8 pieces of brocade and the 8 movements to fortify your spine. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to spend the evening with you.
Okay. Thanks, Lark. It's a wonderful talk. The couplet you mentioned earlier, in cultivation, you must learn Taiji first.
Yes.
I happened to be in the audience when the master was doing that for the couplet. I happened to visit CDDB and I was in the audience. And I remember that because I practiced Taiji myself. So I don't know whether he did that intentionally or what. And of course, at that time, there was also a Taiji master, Fulin's father-in-law was in the city teaching Taiji. So I think there was the occasion why he talked about that. The master.
Yeah, Master Pan.
Yeah, right. He was there as well. And I think for Tai Chi, another advantage is that it'll slow you down. If you always rush here and there, you don't have patience, then practice Tai Chi will help you to slow down and you'll have more patience. This is, I think, this advantage, another advantage for practicing Tai Chi. I don't know whether people have any comments or questions for Luck. Please feel free to type it, raise it, or you want to raise your hand, whatever. So Monica, there's a question. What will be the daily simple stretches or exercise you should do?
Yeah, so I think if you have more time and you can learn other kind of Kung Fu, you can learn other Tai Chi. The point is that you practice what you have learned. You don't have to learn new stuff. But if there's like a school near you or at a monastery someone's teaching, you can also learn. So what I shared with you tonight was just a snippet, a small set of movements. If you don't have time, you can just do those movements just to get the forward stretch, the side stretch, the balance. If you can get those key basic exercises done, then you can learn any kind of other movements in Kung Fu. So start from there. And yes, also some of these movements do kind of overlap with other Shaolin forms like the Yi Jin Jing and the Shi Shui Jing. So there are several other internal Qigong set at the Shaolin Temple. So there is a little bit of overlap as well. So you can learn one set and then practice, and later on you can learn other sets. But remember, if you're a cultivator, I can tell you that you won't have time to learn to do everything. If you practice all the Kung Fu that you know each day, it'll take you 4 or 5 hours. And really, you may not want to spend 4 or 5 hours doing Kung Fu because you have other things. You have to do your recitation, you have to do work. So it's important to use your time wisely and find certain movements that really benefit you and just do those movements and not try to learn like 108 Kung Fu set. I have a friend who is a Shaolin monk. He practiced Shaolin Kung Fu every day, 8 hours a day, ever since he was 4 years old. So his Kung Fu is amazing, reach a very high level. But at the same time, his scholarly activities were limited. He didn't get to learn English. He didn't learn Buddhist sutras and other kinds of things. So we only have 24 hours a day. So we have to really plan our time wisely. Okay.
Annie has a question. Do you think practice yoga would achieve similar results?
Absolutely. Yoga increases one's flexibility. So from that vantage point, it's extremely useful to help increase your flexibility. I would then also practice Taiji because yoga, you're doing certain movements and you're staying in one place. So then you can balance it with some dynamic movements of yin and yang, like alternating of the yin and yang, the weight and no weight from the Taiji set. So it would definitely be good. Yeah, empty stomach doing Tai-Chi, as long as you're not super tired and ready to faint, Tai-Chi can actually use a lot of energy because when you first learn Tai-Chi, you do a set, it takes a lot of energy. You will sweat. Okay, in our studio, when people are practicing Tai-Chi, the floor is completely wet because everyone's just sweating from top to bottom. So if you're hungry and it might not work so well, but at the same time, you don't want to be too full either. So I would say at least 3 hours after eating, then you can practice, from my experience. Otherwise, it's hard to do the stretch because you're full stomach and then you try to stretch and your stomach is like blocking you from getting the chin to toe.
There's one question a couple minutes earlier. What kind of stretch or Kung Fu is most helpful? Most helpful hip and knee joint pains from sitting meditation?
Yeah, I think those stretches that I demonstrated, especially on the floor, those are good. Also, you can learn yoga because yoga is extremely good for helping you with the hips and knees. So there are many different ways to do that. So yeah, but mainly the hamstring stretch, forward stretch, and the side stretch, sitting down, try to get your belly button and chin to the floor will open the hip. But remember, in anything you do, don't force it. Don't be in a hurry to achieve results because you will definitely hurt yourself. So be very patient with your body. And sometimes if you have an injury, you definitely want to see a physical therapist and just to be sure that everything's okay before you take on some really difficult movements. Okay, so you don't want to hurt yourself. I mean, if you tear a muscle, it'll just take like 9 months or 1 year to recover. So just be wise when you're practicing these movements.
There's a question in Chinese. I suppose you can read Chinese, right? Say that, I think she asked that Taiji is supposed to use your mind, not force. Then her question is then when we practice Taiji, is it true that we don't use muscle at all?
Yeah, it's true because when you practice, you're not clenching your whole body, you're not tightening up your shoulders or anything. So you have to, in a way, kind of relax because as soon as you relax, the chi will flow effortlessly. As soon as we tighten up, then the chi will not flow. But at the same time, you need to have a certain level of strength to be able to stand with one leg in the air. So that's where the basic fundamental training. You know, the story is Master Yang, the founder of the Yang style Taiji, before was also a Shaolin master. So before he even learned Taiji, he already mastered Shaolin Kung Fu. But then after that, he learned Taiji, it became a lot easier for him. He was able to stretch with chin to toe, and his body was already light like a monkey. So that's why he was able to learn Taiji very easily.
I think the one advantage of Taiji is it teaches you to relax the muscles. You don't need to use it, and just use the essential muscles. And then, of course, you still need to use some muscle, but those are the essential ones. And some muscles we tense all the time. It's useless and wasting our energy. When you learn Taiji, you know not to tense up those muscles.
Yeah, I think that Taiji, there are Taiji principles that you can use to kind of, in a way, adjust your Taiji practice. Like, for example, your body has to be straight, okay? Like 9 beads down your spine. Your head pulled up to the top, where like a string pulling you up at the top. And the relaxation where you're completely relaxed, not tightening up. Okay, so you can follow various different Taiji principles to then determine whether the Taiji that you practice is compatible with your body. So Taiji, yes, there are many Taiji teachers out there, and I think you can practice for a while and see if you get the benefit in your cultivation. You can practice for a couple of months, and if you don't feel much benefit, then you can just find another teacher. Okay, and you can apply the same principles that the Venerable Master said about finding a teacher. Okay, same with martial arts. Like, is the person greedy for money? Is taking advantage of his or her students? So those are the kind of quality we also have to look out for, because Taiji ultimately is also the mind as well. You know, you train your body, but at some point it also trains your mind, because your mind becomes Taiji. That when we deal with people, we use Taiji. We don't use force. We listen to people and we try to use the principles of Taiji. I can guarantee you that if you practice Taiji and you're angry a lot, you will not be able to do Taiji, because your body will not be relaxed enough to actually do the set. So in a way, by practicing it helps your cultivation. So let's see.
Yeah. A couple questions in Chinese. The first one is jogging. Will jogging have the same effects?
You know, honestly, I don't know, but I know that my Kung Fu teacher said, when you sweat, but you're not too tired in your practice, it's good for long life. Whereas if you sweat too much and get tired too much, then it will not be good for long life. So you can do a whole Taiji set, your body sweat, but yet at the same time, you don't feel like you're exhausted your qi. So in that way, you can have long life from your practice. So running is very good for developing stamina, but after a certain point, you know, it's different from the internal Taiji practice. I'm not saying running is bad, it's useful for certain things, but you also need to balance with internal martial arts. My teacher told a very a story that you may know, like Bruce Lee, for example. He practiced martial arts and just completely pure fire and yang. So that's where he needs more Taiji, more meditation to actually cool down the fire. Otherwise, if we only do pure physical, then we'll have too much fire. Then we don't have a way to control that fire. And through the internal practice will help that. Yeah, and in terms of breathing, breathing is very specialized and you will have to learn from a teacher. But in general, you just breathe naturally. Let the breath go in and out effortlessly through your nose. And that's it. Breathing naturally. Don't try to breathe reverse breathing or hold your breath or do any of that. Unless you're being trained by a competent teacher, I would not worry too much about breathing, except for keeping it natural. So does Taiji principle apply to stretching? Yeah, in a way it is. You stretch lightly, but yet you want to feel a little bit uncomfortable and you stop. You don't want to go to the extreme of pain and stretching. Okay, so follow the middle way. And that's why I quoted the Sutra 42 section about the string instrument. If you make it too tight, then the sound will not carry. So in your practice, we have to be like that. We have to follow the middle way. Use our internal body wisdom to know that we're doing the right thing.
Do you have any more questions? Just a quick note. Bowing to the Buddha is an exercise, excellent exercise. Don't forget about it.
Absolutely. Like Master Zhi, right? He bowed for 18 years waiting for the Sharangama. That's a pretty amazing Kung Fu right there.
I think it's about time. Maybe we'll stop here. And thank you again, Luck, for your wonderful talk. And also Alan's translation. I'd like to make an announcement for next Sunday's lecture. 下面我就和大家谈一谈这个下礼拜天讲演。You don't need to say Chinese. So next Sunday, we are going to have Dr. Epina. You probably remember her. She gave a talk I think in the summertime, maybe about not really, a couple months ago, the Afghanistan. And now, next week, she's going to talk about Ukraine. I think people know what's going on in Ukraine. And Dr. Epina was born in that area, in the Eastern Europe. So she has certainly had a lot of things to share with us. So this will be next Sunday. As a note for people in Asia and other area, the US daylight saving time ends next Sunday morning. So when we have this lecture next Sunday, it's going to be an hour earlier in Asia, in other area where there's no daylight saving time. So for example, in Asia, it's going to be 10:30 in the morning instead of 11:30. Today is 11:30, but next Sunday is going to be 10:30. So an hour earlier, something that people need to pay attention. If you miss that, we still have YouTube video, and you can still watch that on YouTube. Okay, so much for that. And then can you lead us for the dedicate merit? You have to come up with from the Chinese room. Are you ready, Alan?
I think you have to just disable end the interpretation.
Disable him?
Yeah, just disable interpretation, and then he'll be back.
Let me see. I need to stop sharing before I can do anything. Okay, Aaron, are you ready now?
阿弥陀佛，法师听得到吗
Okay, yeah.
？OK，
Let
阿
me
弥陀佛。
let me share my screen again. Okay. Okay, we are ready. Aaron, anytime.
May the Mary from this practice adorn all the Buddha's lands, repay the kindness from above, and rescue those in paths below. May all who see or hear all this resolve upon awakening, and when this body meets its end, be born together in the land of bliss.
3 bows. In respect to the Venerable Master, thank you everyone for your participation.
And thank you, Alan and Mai, for the translation. Thank you.